Hey everybody, this is PD from the Spinner Rack, and today I'm doing a video on the newest Planet of the Apes, the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and I'm going to just start with my recommendation on it, is that I recommend it. I say that it's a good film. I had some time to kill. If you're in Jersey or in New York, you understand these train delays, so I said, that's what I do. I think one of those Harry Potter spin-off movies one point, and I left the movie to catch the train once the train's cleared up. So I was watching The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, not even planning on seeing it, but that was the time frame. The Fall Guy was a half hour later. So I say all that to say, I went in and I was surprised that it was pretty good. It was a pretty good story, very simple, straightforward story. So ultimately, we have this society, and it takes place somewhat in the future. I'm not sure how long, but it's a little more grandeur to Caesar, the voice of Caesar. He's kind of felt in this movie as a presence, right? So we have this culture of apes that we meet. And even though there's a reference to Caesar early on, we see this culture, they're connected to these birds. And there's this ritual, there's this ritual of claiming a bird for yourself. It's an actual thing where they go out and try to find an egg, they nurture the egg, and then there's a connection between bird and the ape. And this bird would then go get fish for them. They show it early on. You see a hawk capturing a fish. So this is how this society has decided to, feed their culture, right? So they have this sort of nice setup, and when you see the climbing to get to the egg, it gives you a Avatar type feel. So it's kind of like the Avatar of the apes, because you have them calling on all this the land that's kind of half destroyed, these high-rise buildings. You know it's high-rises, but there's all this vegetation on them. So all these buildings now look like a some sort of what is it? Like a forest, but this actual building's in actually covered in foliage, right? So you did this whole complicated thing of trying to get these eggs, and the possibility of these planets, these buildings falling apart, but they never really show you the inside of the building, which is always good. And as they go along, there's a human presence there. So in this thing, this leads the whole story, right? So with this human presence, that the lead character comes in and he kind of finds this human running around, and sorry about that, running around and leaving a scent, and they don't know what it is. They only call it an echo, right? So the echo actually is a human. That's in their society. So it's trying to set you up with a totally different society of apes, right? So it's a totally different culture, all the stuff that kind of keys you into who these people are, right? So you have Noah, who's the kind of the youngest son of the whole the birds, the apes that take care of the birds. You have who else? You have Suna. Um, you have, and these two are like the two main apes. And as they go along, they actually get their eggs, they come back home, but this human presence leads to these other like kind of warlike apes that come in, kill some of the key figures that try to figure out where this human is. For some reason, there's a plot flaw in it that if the humans, it's something that my father kind of came up with, that the idea that humans kind of, to survive in such a volatile time in the past, and since, it's no easy way to say it, that since humans outwardly smell, right? Whereas if you smell an animal like a cat or a dog, you have to get close to smell them. They're usually able to keep themselves kept, but humans, we kind of fall apart quickly. So it's kind of a bit that my father had, but with that idea that the female human is running around and she has a scent to him, it should be easy enough for these apes to find her. But you know, so at the same time, so at the same time, this leads to the destruction of this whole society and leaves kind of like the Lion King, it leaves Noah on this search to either find the human or find his people, right? Because his people have been taken, and it leads to this whole new culture that has taken Caesar's words and it kind of inverted it into this new warlike thing. So it's kind of taking some of the lessons that Caesar had, and there's a new Caesar, and playing off to the whole Roman aspect of now this Proximus Caesar, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of cool stuff that's going on in here. And it's a lot of the apes experiencing the human culture that they don't really know about. So they go to places that they're not supposed to, and they run into the human culture like the planetarium, stuff like that. And it leads them to this other society of apes that are just trying to get to the humans' weapons. They know that the humans have left weapons on this planet, and they're trying to get to it. And that leads us to the human known as May or Nova. They call all humans either Echoes or Nova. They actually, but she has a history that we don't know, and she's shrouded in secrecy. She won't tell her history and all this other stuff. So it's kind of, the whole story is really nice. It's really kind of cool. But I would say when it got to the epilogue, that took me back around, right? So it took me back around to my struggle with this new update of the apes. 'Cause I was a big fan of the first three. As time went on, I was less a fan of the part four, or the TV show, the cartoon, and the films that came after that. But obviously there was a book by Pierre. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to pronounce his last name, but he created this book of a Planet of the Apes, where these apes are actually running society. The society like this, they were like this, right? And because of budgetary reasons, it turned into like the actual land of Conan. Have you ever seen the John Buscema Conan issue? That's what the Planet of the Apes looked like, right? Was it Hyperborean age, that sort of age, like a little bit past caveman? But the early movies had scientists and philosophers, and this one, and you do have a kind of a philosopher, but you don't have scientists. You don't have people that can do like surgeries or dissections and that sort of thing. So that leads me to one of my issues with the series in general, because with the fact that they didn't have the money to do to actually do, what would you say this? To actually do how the book was, and not to say the ending of the original is amazing and that's cool, and it's been followed throughout the time of the Planet of the Apes, the TV, the movies, and all that. But one of the things that when I didn't do the actual book, you get to this thing of evolution, right? So in the original book, the idea of evolution is big, right? The idea of evolution, that the apes would evolve, and in the book, the humans would de-evolve. And being in the wild, sort of rabid, they would somehow lose their intelligence. In the movies, the original ones, they would be kind of cut or swiped. But this is kind of the issues that I kind of had with this. Because of the budgetary reasons, this allows the whole Darwin evolution type of thing to play out even more, right? So to say that humans are the apex, like we are the apex, when you're watching these movies, you create this great society, but you're still saying to, like at the end of the first three, or the first three, we still know that the man has destroyed his own world. In every sense of the word, man is leading itself to nuclear destruction. And then two, Taylor destroys the world, right? So this portion of evolution, though, kind of says even though the apes have gained, gained intelligence and all that, they haven't created anything like this, like what we have. They're just in the squalor of what's left over, and they're kind of scavengers, right? So even more so in this later thing. So, and ultimately, since we never found the missing link, the idea that the full idea of evolution instead of different species in general is kind of is still a theory, right? So, and then if you look at it, it says the preservation of favored races and the struggle for life. So that's the hard part when you go into this evolution thing. And if you go into these movies, they're still trying to say that, hey, humankind, even though we blew it up, we did it the best. So that's just the epilogue, because at the epilogue, they kind of deal with May's character and give you a tidbit of what could happen next, leading to some more human stuff. But I'm not interested in the human stuff at all. Like that is, we got Monarch that deals with as much human stuff as you can. Like if you're creating ape societies, like having one human that's kind of, and she's, it's a good play. There's a good play to the character. She is a dark character, but the heart of it is about the apes. So don't lose that. And ultimately, if I'm going to come back to this series, because I didn't watch, might have saw one of them, maybe the second one with Woody Harrelson, but I can't remember. But it is true. What they say about this, it's really good. It's really fun. I'm just talking, my other stuff is just what we would talk about in like a film class, that idea. So that's where the whole Darwin and all that other stuff, that's just a tidbit, because ultimately I already started with a total recommendation. So that's about it. Check it out. Let us know what you think. And Spinner Rack is out.